All right, so Bitcoin, uh, it's making a lot of noise again, especially with it hanging around that $100,000 mark.
Yeah, it really.
And it feels like everybody's got something to say about it. I mean, from like your average X poster,
Yeah.
to presidents.
Right.
And so today we've got kind of a mix of sources to dive into. We've got some of those X posts, what we used to call tweets,
Yeah.
just to get a sense of the excitement, the anxiety that's out there. And then also this really interesting piece about how, like, domain names with BTC in them
Oh, yeah.
are suddenly worth a fortune.
Yeah, a fascinating little, side story to the bigger picture.
Exactly. And we're going to try to break it all down for you, even if crypto isn't really your thing,
Yeah.
because whether you're buying Bitcoin or not, it's having an impact.
Yeah, understanding the forces at play is really crucial no matter where you stand on it.
So first up, we've got Michael Saylor, who's basically like become Mr. Bitcoin at this point.
Mm-hmm.
He's predicting this surge to $180,000, followed by a drop to $140,000.
Okay.
He even said people will be freaking out.
I mean, I would be.
I know I would be too.
Yeah.
So his predictions, always kind of make the headlines, and there's a reason people listen to him. I mean,
Yeah.
he had such MicroStrategy.
Exactly. And they've put a huge chunk of their resources into Bitcoin.
Hmm.
He's not just speculating. He's putting his money where his mouth is.
Yeah.
But it is worth noting that his predictions are based on his very specific outlook.
Right.
And even he's been known to be off the mark sometimes.
Okay, so take it with a grain of salt. But definitely interesting to see someone so confident.
Mm-hmm.
But here's a perspective I bet you didn't expect.
Right.
Vladimir Putin.
Whoa.
Yeah, that Putin recently said, who can stop Bitcoin? Nobody.
That's a powerful statement coming from a world leader.
Right.
I mean, think about it. A few years ago, Bitcoin was this fringe idea.
Mhm.
And now you have someone like Putin acknowledging it as a force to be reckoned with.
It's true.
I mean, this could have huge implications for how governments approach regulation, not just in Russia, but globally.
Yeah, I'm curious, what do you think listener does hearing a statement like that from Putin make you more confident in Bitcoin's future, or maybe a little bit wary?
Right. Makes you think about who's in control when something's supposedly unstoppable.
Exactly. Okay, next up, we've got the CEO of Coinbase,
Okay.
one of the biggest crypto exchanges out there.
Mm-hmm.
And he is making the argument that the U.S. government should hold on to any Bitcoin it has and never sell it.
So this brings up the question of what holdings is he referring to?
Right.
The U.S. government has seized Bitcoin in various criminal cases, and there's been this debate about what they should do with it.
Mm.
This CEO stance is interesting because it gets into the idea of governments not just regulating Bitcoin, but actually participating in the market.
Okay.
Some people think that could stabilize things, make Bitcoin more legitimate, while others see it as a potential conflict of interest.
Yeah, it's like, is this similar to how central banks hold gold reserves, or are we talking about something totally different?
Yeah, it's a new kind of asset,
Yeah.
so the rules are still being written, so to speak.
Definitely makes you think about what the future holds now. Before we get too deep into the world of government finance, let's shift gears for a minute to something a little more niche, but still really interesting.
Okay.
These domain names with BTC in them,
Right.
apparently they're skyrocketing in value.
It's a reflection of how branding is evolving in this world that's being increasingly influenced by cryptocurrencies.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine trying to secure a .com domain back in the early days of the internet.
Oh, yeah,
There's a gold rush for those.
totally.
And it seems like we're seeing a similar thing happening now, but with BTC instead of com.
And we're talking domain names like btc.catering or btc.plumbing suddenly being worth thousands of dollars.
Yeah,
It's wild.
it is.
What other BTC domains do you think could be valuable? Like btc.dentistry, btc.fashion.
What's fascinating is that it shows how businesses are trying to stake their claim in this new digital landscape.
Yeah.
It's a way to signal they're forward-thinking, crypto-savvy. They see the writing on the wall, so to speak.
Okay, so back to Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy. He's been busy, to say the least.
Yeah.
Stock offerings, taking on debt, all to acquire more Bitcoin.
Wow.
I'm no finance whiz, but it sounds complicated.
He's essentially using the tools of traditional finance to bet big on Bitcoin. Imagine using your house as collateral for a loan to buy shares of a promising startup.
Okay.
That's basically what the sailor's doing, but on a much
Mm.
larger scale, using MicroStrategy's assets to fuel his Bitcoin purchases.
Wow, that's a pretty good analogy.
Yeah,
Makes it a lot easier to understand. So he's really going all in on this, and those moves have a ripple effect on the entire market.
absolutely. His actions have a huge influence on how other investors, both big and small, view Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's like he's playing a whole different game than everyone else.
He's definitely operating on a different level.
Yeah.
But it's important to remember that, even the most seasoned investors carry risks.
Totally. And it's a good reminder that you should always do your own research and not just blindly follow anyone's predictions, no matter how successful they've been in the past.
Exactly. Critical thinking and a balanced perspective are key, especially in a market as volatile as crypto.
Okay, so let's step back for a minute and look at the big picture. We've got this Bitcoin evangelist predicting huge price swings, a world leader saying it can't be stopped, a tech CEO arguing for government involvement.
Right.
Plus, you've got this fascinating trend of BTC domain names becoming valuable. What does it all mean? Where are we headed with all this?
I think what we're seeing is that Bitcoin, despite its, ups and downs, is becoming a major player in the global economy.
Mm.
It's gone from being this fringe idea to something that world leaders are talking about, and that's a significant shift.
Yeah, it's like everyone's trying to figure out where they fit in, whether it's through investments or branding or policy decisions.
Right.
It feels like we're watching the financial world being rewritten in real time.
And the pace of change is incredible. I mean, think about how quickly Bitcoin has gone from this obscure concept to a topic that is discussed by presidents and prime ministers. It's unprecedented.
It makes you wonder what the long-term consequences will be. Will Bitcoin truly revolutionize finance? Will it challenge traditional power structures, or will it eventually just become another asset in a diversified portfolio?
Those are questions that will continue to be debated as Bitcoin evolves and matures.
Yeah.
But one thing is certain, we can't ignore it. It's a force to be reckoned with.
Absolutely. And it's a story that's still being written. We're all just kind of watching to see what happens next. Hopefully, this deep dive has given you, the listener, a better understanding of the current Bitcoin buzz and what it all might mean, even if you're not a crypto expert.
Remember, this is just a glimpse into a very complex and ever-changing landscape. So keep exploring, keep learning, and most importantly, keep forming your own informed opinions.
Knowledge is power, especially when the rules of the game are being rewritten right before our eyes. But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought. If even Putin, someone not exactly known for embracing radical change, acknowledges that Bitcoin can't be stopped,
Right.
what does that tell us about the balance of power in the world?
That's an excellent question and one that's worth pondering.
Okay.
This isn't just about technology or finance, it's about something much bigger.
It's like we're entering uncharted territory, and it's both exciting and a little bit unsettling.
Think about it. Bitcoin challenges the traditional control that governments and institutions have held over financial systems. It introduces this new paradigm of decentralization and individual empowerment. Whether you choose to embrace it, ignore it, or simply observe from a distance, Bitcoin is shaping the world as we know it.
So keep diving deeper, listeners. Stay curious, stay informed, and who knows, you might just find yourself at the forefront of this digital revolution.
And that wraps up our deep dive into the Bitcoin buzz for today. Until next time, keep exploring, and remember, fortune favors the well-informed.
Yeah, it really makes you think, is this like a tech shift, a financial shift, or is it something even bigger, like a power shift maybe?
Well, what's fascinating here is that Bitcoin at its core is about challenging the established order. It's taking power that's traditionally resided with governments and institutions and distributing it among the people. It's a fundamental shift in how we think about control, and that's what makes it so disruptive, so exciting, and so potentially world-changing.
It really is. It's kind of like the Wild West out there right now.
Yeah.
You got these innovators and entrepreneurs like pushing the boundaries, and then governments are trying to figure out, how to regulate this new landscape, and then you've got everyday people just trying to make sense of it all.
Right, and that's precisely why it's so crucial to stay informed.
Yeah.
Don't just rely on headlines or sound bites. Dig deeper, understand the underlying principles, and then form your own conclusions.
Right.
This is a technology, yes, but it's also a social and political movement.
Oh, I love that. A social and political movement. Yeah.
It really puts it into perspective. So, listener, whether you decide to dive headfirst into the world of Bitcoin or you prefer to watch from the sidelines, for now, one thing's for sure. This is a story that's just getting started.
Absolutely. And who knows, maybe you'll be one of the ones writing the next chapter.
That's a great note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the Bitcoin buzz. Keep exploring, keep learning, and remember, fortune favors the well-informed,